As we progress in our main theme of the prosperity journey, having looked at discovering our path, and then last week with the topic about choices, the idea of change is bound to happen. In fact, we've mentioned it throughout the series, and specifically last week, and we're going to do it again today. Today, change is our primary focus. And if you read the church email a few days ago, you may have noticed the newsletter titled, Change. It's going to happen. Because it does. It must. It's part of the evolution of consciousness, of each of us, of life. Change, any change that we initiate, starts from inside. Starts with our thoughts and feelings about something, or a desire or need for it, whatever it is, to be different. It doesn't necessarily need to be a change for better or a change for worse, but just a change, something different, something new. Change can be subtle or drastic, forward-thinking or taking a step backward to regroup, courageous or rebellious, but it all begins within. So let's start with some basic examples and see how this fits into our prosperity journey today along the way. If you look at today's insert bulletin in your programs, you'll see a statement from Ernest Holmes about change and how our thought, is constantly creating new ways of expression. Changes in how we evolve and demonstrate in the world. Our thought is what determines whether something is good or bad. It's a judgment on our part. I got a haircut a few days ago. Some of you have noticed. Thank you for your compliments. It's a change from what it was before. It's a lot shorter than I intended for it to be. It's the worst haircut, second worst haircut of my adult life. In my opinion. Apparently, I didn't communicate my desires the way I was thinking it should look, and the hairstylist didn't remember the pictures I showed her 5 minutes beforehand. Not a lot I can do about it now, except wear a wig or wait for it to grow out. Always a choice. Because I believe it will grow out, it's a deep-seated thought of faith on my part, I can more easily accept the way it is now and what I can do with it. Another change I'm experiencing, one I've been working on for about 15 months, is my long-distance relationship with my daughter and her family, my grandkids, when they live so far away, and now even farther. I didn't realize how attached I was to her until she moved away early last year. She's my baby. She's over 29, but she's my baby. And how connected I felt to her two children, my grandkids, until they weren't here, just the other side of Castle Rock, in town. And now they're practically on the other side of the planet. To be clear, yes, we have other grandchildren. We love and adore them all. They don't live next door to us or even in the same town, so they haven't been around us as much as those two had been the last 9 years. That's the only difference. They're all dear to me. And now, after moving away to Washington State, my daughter just spent most of the past week driving from the Seattle area to Anchorage, Alaska, where they plan to live for this next period of their lives. She's been driving through Canada for the past week with her two kids, the dog, and pulling the trailer with all their possessions. She's been doing this by herself. Her frantic husband met her on the other end of the journey, which came to completion late last night. I got a text this morning that she had arrived at his hotel. And her mom, me, has been praying day and night and anxiously awaiting every email or Facebook posting of pictures to know that they were making progress and moving forward and doing okay on their journey. This is a huge journey of change in their lives and mine, and it's been far more stressful than I ever imagined it would be. Ask my husband. I know some of you had or will have kids graduating from high school, or soon will be going off to college or studying abroad, or moving out of the house to find their own place. The empty nest is both a time to look forward to and a time of sadness. It's a big change in everyone's life, and it happens to pretty much every family. We're not alone. Another example of this journey of change can be when you make a decision or one gets made for you. Several days ago, a past member of this church lost her husband. She has 2 teenagers now to raise on her own. Maybe you get laid off, the company closes, or you decide you have had enough, and that entrepreneurial spirit tendency is just coming to full bloom and you want to start your own business. Whatever the trigger, how you think about such change affects the decisions you make and the direction that you take. And sometimes the speed at which those changes occur. Your thoughts matter a lot. Are you resisting? Slowing things down? Are you in fear? Or are you excited about what's coming up? The world we live in right now changes so fast. From advances in technology, for example, our phones and various forms of communication, to the up-to-the-minute news broadcasts and weather alerts, to the cars we drive and the smart homes we live in. Do we as humans change that fast? Sometimes. There are those of us whose genius is creating these things and comforts for our lives. So yes, some of us are changing rapidly when it comes to inventions, or adapting to them, making them. And then there are those humans who resist such change. I do with certain things, at times. I just don't want to make the change. I like my way, my stuff. And as I mentioned last week, there are some things that I'll stick with until they're either run its course or they don't make them anymore, and I have no choice but to change. We've been making some changes to our church responsibilities, our way of doing tasks and paperwork. We've been delegating, reorganizing, and making strides toward a more team-focused way of doing things. Because this spiritual community belongs to all of us, everyone, and we all have a hand in its success and its future. Another change I do want to mention, one that we may try to slow down, but can never stop, is the aging process of our bodies. Our minds might still think we're 20 or 30 or 40 years of age, and that we have an unlimited amount of energy and enthusiasm. But our bones and muscles may be on a different time schedule. Have you noticed that? So you learn to work with what you have, don't you? You might learn to do things in a different way, perhaps at a slower pace. Or hire out some of those tasks because your strength is not what it used to be. You can't lift that fallen tree branch from the sudden snowstorm, or move that rock like you used to. You use a snowblower rather than a shovel. You prefer a camper or a hotel rather than a tent. Little things, big things. Along those lines, I learned something this past week, rather surprisingly, is that I don't clean house as fast as I used to either. I actually had to pace myself and my energy and just do 1 or 2 chores a day. Space it out so I would still have energy to do the office and computer work that I like to do. To keep from wearing myself out, I scheduled household tasks over several days. It all got done. It just took longer than it used to. But there was a conscious choice about it. I had definite thoughts. I can either do it myself the way that works for me now, or I can hire someone to do it the way I used to do. get it all done one time, one day. But either way, I had to have a change of thought as I approached this familiar endeavor. I just don't do house cleaning the way I used to. So what? I can be okay with that. And I'll bet there are things that you do differently too. Different than you used to. And maybe you'll do them different in the future than you do now. It's just different. Not bad, not better, different. You came to a different decision or idea about that thing, that way of doing something, that way of being as you in the world. You get to show up differently now than you used to, however that was. And it's okay. The key ingredient to every path we take, every endeavor we attempt, every idea we implement is a state of consciousness. Our thoughts about it. And the perspective of those thoughts. Are they positive or negative? Are they your thoughts or someone else's? Did you just take them on and make them your own because it was easier or some compromise? Or do you really believe those ideas and thoughts you tell yourself? I 100% believe it to be so very important to examine my thoughts and beliefs from time to time, to question them, validate them. Especially when Naggy Maggie is going at it nonstop, arguing for her rightness about something. In those times of making difficult decisions, when it involves a major change of some kind, or even a little change for that matter, I always know when the correct answer has been arrived at because there's a sense of deep peace within my core. And there's no more ego chatter, no more arguing or debating going on in my head. It's just done. I know that I know that I know. And it's important that we look deeply within and connect with that divine guidance that lives through us. I know without a doubt that the spirit within me is encouraging me to grow and expand as me every day in some way. I came across a Bible verse this week that really spoke to me about our topic. It's from 1 Corinthians 15, verse 51, which states, "Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed." We, you and me, and every human on this planet go through change at some level all the time. However, the universal principles, the law of mind and creation, the law of mental equivalent, the law of cause and effect, and all the other spiritual and universal laws that science of mind teaches and we adhere to, they stay the same. They always work the same, according to your belief. God, or Spirit, or Allah, or divine intelligence, or love, or any other name you want to call your higher power, is always God and never changes. The essence of what it is. Even though the form it takes is unlimited in its expression. You and I get to use these principles and laws for our own benefit or our detriment, depending on how we look at it. We get to create whatever life we can imagine, believe in, or strive toward, regardless of what anyone else thinks about it. As much as I want my daughter and her family to live closer to me, I know this life vision and adventure they're creating is hers and her husband's. It's not mine. It's a step on their prosperity journey, whatever that is. Its creation has to do with me only as much as I involve myself or think about it. I pray for their success in every undertaking, partly because as a mom, that's what I want for my child. Small child or adult child, doesn't matter. And partly because that's what I pray for myself. You and I know that the law of cause and effect, we know that our thoughts and our words create what it is we want to experience in our life. So I want to tell them, I want to pray for their success, because that's what I would love to have come back to me too. Only success, only good in life's journeys. That's what I pray will happen for them, and in yours, and in this church. Amazing success, and joy, and love, and fun, and wholeness. I'm very clear about that. And so was Ernest Holmes when he wrote the Science Mind textbook and taught these principles. There's only one reference to the word journey in the textbook, but it's a good one. And it's on the church website this week too. It says we make our own mistakes, suffer from our own foolishness, and we must also make our own return journey into righteousness. God was, is, and will remain the essence of life, truth, and purity. Let us enter this essence in belief and be freed from our unbelief and human mistakes. Our journey into righteousness is our journey into right thinking, honest living, awareness, and highest consciousness. There is change involved every step of the way, because just when you think, oh, I've achieved highest consciousness, well, is there something higher? Of course. Some things may be harder than others, to take longer than others. Change will happen nonetheless. It's like it says in the Talmud, the Jewish collection of law and tradition, where it states that every blade of grass, over every blade of grass, there's an angel that bends over it and whispers, grow, grow. We, you and me, have within us that spiritual push that keeps us growing and changing. The journey never ends because it's a journey of the spirit, not just of this world or this body or this lifetime. I have no idea what it looks like or what the experience will be like after we leave this earthly body, this earth form, uniform, this physical existence. But I know that the essence and energy of who I am and of who you are, our God self, will continue and move on to another realm of some kind, will continue to exist. And since I want to be prepared for that next great adventure, it motivates me to grow spiritually and intellectually and emotionally now. To have as many experiences in life and relationships with people around me now. To live as fully as I can and grow now, each and every day. And heal what needs to be healed along the way. To forgive, release, let go, start again. This or something better. To do as Holmes advised. And so we prepare not to die, but to live. The thought of death should slip from our consciousness altogether. And when this great event of the soul takes place, it should be beautiful, sublime, a glorious experience. So what are some of the ways that we can prepare for this glorious experience? Something we can focus on, starting right now. We can implement in this life. What can we do? What can we think? For me, number one, prayer and meditation. I highly recommend it. I either do prayer treatment for myself or ask for a practitioner to do one for me in every change or every challenging situation. It takes my attachment to circumstances out of the equation, at least just a little. Like recently when I asked for prayer support for my daughter's road trip and her move further north, or more importantly, about my attachment to it. I've learned that prayer is when we talk to God, and meditation is when we listen. And as our students can tell you, there are many, many forms of meditation. Pick one, pick another, but listen to that still small voice within so you can get the best guidance and direction available for your life. Your life. You are the only one who has anything to say about what thoughts you focus on to create your experience in this reality, in this realm. While your parents may have wanted certain things for you, and maybe their voice shows up through your mouth from time to time, you still get to choose which ones stay or are repeated through your thoughts, through who you are and what you do. The second step I highly recommend after you create a list of possibilities from the unlimited source of possibilities is to choose one or two or three. And if you don't like one, choose again. Pick a different path. Another way of expressing. The universe never puts limits on anything, so don't do it to yourself. And third, move your feet. Put your energy and talents and ideas behind the choice that came to you through your prayers. When you find something that fills your heart and soul with passion and peace, you'll know it. There won't be anything or anyone that can talk you out of it. That's what I taught my daughter and my sons. I want for them the same thing I want for myself, to be able to choose the highest expression of who I am and can be. The me that is here now and the one that is possible from one stage of growth to the next. That's what I want for them, and they're doing it. So I'm a successful parent, yay! Do your best until you change your mind. You outgrow it, or it's no longer of importance to the expression of who you are. Then, start the process over again and again. In this lifetime and whatever follows. Next Sunday, Dr. Sarah Bonfig will be here to share her message about how to embrace your bliss. And we've discovered our path, we're making changes, we're making choices. How do we enjoy it and embrace the bliss of what we're doing? I know that there are just as many ways to do that as there are possibilities of expression. So I hope you'll join me next week when she's here to find out what she has to say about it. We have this amazing opportunity called life. It's a continuous journey of change, just like the world and the times we live in, the seasons of nature, the gazillion unique manifestations that we find in the world, all of the one divine essence that we call God. You can try to resist it, but instead I invite you to go with it. Go with the universal flow of life. And enjoy the ride. Be in God as you. Be the light and blessing you are. Be present. Let's have a prayer. Well, our practitioners, please come forward.